Fox News weighed in on the Democratic primary, and they're going to concern troll about Democrats moving too far left. Watch.
Democrats are racing to the far left as they jump into the ring for 2020. But it wasn't too long ago that these same Democrats held more conservative viewpoints. Here to highlight some of these policy shifts is former Trump campaign manager, pollster, John McLaughlin. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
It has been fascinating for me to watch these candidates make. It's not even like a slow march. They're kind of like running to the left. I don't know how successful it's going to be, but I want to go through a few of these popular candidates with you and get your reaction, starting with Elizabeth Warren. Now, her current position's endorsing the Green New Deal, pledging to reject fossil fuel campaign donations. That was not always the case for Warren, though.
Right. And what you have here is a contest, because when I worked for Donald Trump, he had to be the most anti-Obama Hillary Clinton candidate out there to get the voters, because 90% of the Republicans disapproved of what Obama stood for. So now you have the Democrats racing to be the most deranged. Now, Elizabeth Warren, she was a Republican in the 90s, and she used to live in Oklahoma. No. She used to. So she's like, we did a December poll that's on our website at McLaughlinOnline.com, and she only had 4% of the national vote. So that's within the margin of error. She could be at 0. But now to get up in the polls, she has to be the most deranged opponent to President Trump.
Have they gone too far? Are they marginalizing those moderates that may be inclined to vote with Democrats and now are saying, hold on, this is really extreme?
Well, the majority of Democrat primary voters happen to be liberals, and some of them are out-and-out socialists. So what they're doing is they're racing to that audience. This is the most anti-Trump audience. They're really racing off to the far left and trying to move up in that group. But you have, like in our polls, you had like Beto O'Rourke was at 11% nationally among the Democrats, and he's 13% with the liberals, with the majority.
And sometimes what works for the primary does not work for the general election. People remember that stuff. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
These people get paid to give political analysis. And there's not even a little smidge, a little speck of truth in what they just laid out there for you. Now, notice something. You heard their narrative. Their narrative is crystal clear. Oh, my God, Democrats are going too far left. It's going to hurt them in 2020. Go back and rewatch that clip. Did they give any data, any evidence to back up their point? Any at all? No, they didn't. They just use scorn and condescension and condemnation. Like, ugh. It's Elizabeth Warren now supports the Green New Deal. Green New Deal. You know, sometimes what works in the primary doesn't work in the general. As if they care about, like, as if they're warning Dems, like, in good faith. Like, guys, we don't want you to lose the election. We're just looking out for you. The Green New Deal, they just polled this not that long ago. Here's a data point. Again, you didn't hear them give any data points for you. Well, I have a data point for you. Over 80% of the country supports a Green New Deal. Not over 80% of Democrats, over 80% of the country. Even a majority of Republicans. It's over 60% of Republicans support a Green New Deal. And the argument they just made to you is, well, the Democrats are going too far left and it's going to hurt them in the election. Well, then how do you explain that the policy you just cited is overwhelmingly popular? Therefore, by logical deduction, if the Democrats ran on that platform, that would make them more popular, not less popular. Guys, they don't... The DC elite bubble is so out of touch, it's actually laughable. And this goes for Republican strategists and Democratic strategists. They actually believe, if you get in a room with a Democratic strategist, they actually believe, they're like, oh, well, obviously, you need to run to the left in the primary and then run to the right in the general election. And that's called the general election pivot. They have a term for it. Yes, in assholedom, non-political expert world, it's called the pivot. To regular people, it's called lying. So you run to the left in the primary, tell us you have one philosophy of the world, and then in general you say you have the opposite philosophy of the world. What fucking idiot came to the conclusion that, well, this is obviously going to be a net benefit for you? Hillary Clinton was a perfect example of this. When she was on stage with Bernie, it was, me? No, I think I am the progressive candidate, bro. I think I am the progressive candidate. I think I'm to the left of this guy here. And then all of a sudden, in the general, it's bipartisanship is what I'm all about. I'm a progressive who likes to get things done. It doesn't work. If you actually have a philosophy and you have a belief system and you think you can convince other people and you think your ideas are best for the country, that's how somebody wins. Making an argument, having a belief system, fighting for it, which by extension would be fighting for the American people because you think your philosophy would help the American people. Everything is overly calculated and like walking on eggshells and trying to appease everybody at the same time by pissing off everybody, by contradicting yourself. It's just so stupid. They say, notice the framing there. They say, the furthest left you are, the farther left you are. Well, obviously that's, quote, most deranged. So the Democrats are racing to be, quote, most deranged. Really? Well, Bernie Sanders is the most far left of the bunch, and he also happens to be the most popular politician in America. Not my opinion, again, a fact backed up by polling. So everything is opinion. Everything is opinion, and it's conventional bubble wisdom based on nothing but what they all say to each other in their circle jerk of money and power. They really think it's the most deranged. Is it deranged to be for Medicare for all? 70% of the country is for Medicare for all. Is it deranged to be for raising taxes on the rich? 60% of the country wants to raise taxes on the rich. Is it deranged to want to increase the minimum wage? 80% of the country wants to increase the minimum wage. Is it deranged to want to legalize marijuana? 62% of the country wants to legalize marijuana. These are the so-called far-left positions, and one after the other, you go look at them, overwhelmingly popular. So perhaps the answer is not to, they're scoffing. They're saying, well, they're alienating the moderates. That's the problem. No, perhaps the answer is, the further left you go, the further populist you go, the more you actually pick up your own base and also pick off so-called moderates and independents. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe when people feel like you're actually fighting for them, they support you. So these guys have no idea what they're talking about. It's embarrassing. They get paid a tremendous amount of money to talk about politics. These guys do. They don't know anything. Nothing. They didn't give a single data point. It's amazing that this is the political discourse. And most people who watch that, listen, I took this video off YouTube. It had like a 90% like rate. So most idiots who watched it were like, yeah, totally right. The Democrats, deranged, running left. Ha, unbelievable. Ha, ha. They don't know anything. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. It's gross. And they're certainly not actual experts.